What's going on? VolcanoBeats, the Sampler King, live from the lab, basement bunker today. We're not in the lab, we're in the studio production room in the basement, you know what I'm saying? So put up some cameras, put up some lights, and let's get to work today. So before we get into all that, do me a favor, hit that like and hit that subscribe. We're gonna get into my favorite 3 things that I came across this week. First on the list, the Behringer 636 Reverb. You know what, Behringer is crazy, man. Like when stuff come out, you never know when it's coming out. But this looks like it's promising. It's already up on Sweetwater. What is it? It's a spring reverb, like the same size and constraints as like their Model D and all the other synths. They made a spring reverb the same size, $200, real spring reverb. It's a recreation of obviously it's a recreation. It's Behringer, so you know it's a recreation of an old school and back from the 60s and the 70s. So that reverb sound that you hear on like dub music from the 70s and all that, that's what that is. It's pretty cool, man. Like especially if you like into like tracking real guitars and stuff like that, it can be like an indispensable tool. I've used spring reverb plugins before. I've used the real thing before too, man. And it kind of gives a texture that it's kind of hard to replicate in the plugin, even though you can get like kind of close to it, but you can't 100% replicate it in a plugin. So being able to get a real spring reverb for like $200 that's got real connections that you could just put on your patch bay, that's pretty nice, man. I used one that was on like an amp, so it didn't feel like, it wasn't easy to use. Just put it to you like that, not reamping stuff through, it wasn't easy to use. So this is nice because like you can record the guitars in and just reamp it. I literally had a session or a song I had to mix a few months ago, and I didn't have a good spring reverb in my library, or at least I didn't think I did, because Arturia makes a version of it, and I didn't even know that until I started researching. That's a tip for you. Dig through the stuff you got already before you start buying stuff. So I ended up buying one from Boz Digital, and like I like theirs in the digital realm. They're I forgot the name of it, but it's a spring reverb. They only got one, so recoil or something like that. It was nice, but like I said, I'm kind of intrigued about this one. I heard a couple demos. Don't know when it's coming out for sure, but like I said, this one caught my eyes this week, and it's definitely on my cop list. It's gonna be $200. So like I say, and it's Eurorack compatible, 72 spaces or whatever, and obviously you know you can get racks for it to put it in your actual rack. So that's what makes it nice. I said, yeah, it's really not much more to say to it. There's nothing super exciting about a spring reverb, but it's just one of those things when you need it, it's there. Because I use my grandmother, and some sounds I get out of the grandmother because of that real live spring reverb on it is pretty nice. So for me to be able to just have that to be able to add to any texture in my library or any synth in my library for $200, I think I'm gonna do that. So yeah, the Behringer spring reverb, the 636. It's the old classic 636. They just made that iteration of it and gave it to us in hardware form. So yeah, Arturia's got the plug-in though, so obviously they all got a different sound. So if you can demo that Arturia one, it kind of sounds like the demos that I heard from the Behringer. So I take that. Like I say, put it in my rack. It's good to go. I'll be able to track some synths or like some bass or anything crazy through it. Guitars, if I get other projects to do that again. Like I said, I just was going through that because I was putting reverb on stuff. I'm like, it don't sound right. Man, I gotta add some spring reverb. I gotta treat this like it's a real guitar and a real amp and all that. And I did. It made my life easier. So yeah, the Behringer 636 spring reverb. Don't know when it's coming, but like I said, it's already up on Sweetwater, so you can already pre-order it. So I'm guessing it's coming soon. Next on the list is the Universal Audio SC-1. SC is standard condenser. I guess they got their ways of like categorizing things, but the SC-1, what is it? It's like one of their new like mic modeling. It's technically not new. It's funny because I seen this thing a few months ago, then it just went away, then it just came back. I guess it must have been some kinks with it or something, or I don't know. But I literally seen this months ago. I was about to talk about it, but then it just kind of disappeared. Now it's back. So what is it? It's their mic modeling what makes this dope, because like I've always liked some of their like mic modeling stuff with the sphere microphone. They got the big sphere and the small one, the deluxe and the standard or whatever. What makes this one cold though is this one works with just native plug-in. You don't need to have a UAD device interface to record in to have it on. That's killer. It's 8 mic mods come with it. All the legendary ones, obviously the 87, the C12, the Sony 800, the 414. So they give you some nice options. Like I said, they give you 8 of them. It's a cool little microphone. Anybody know me know I love my Slate, because that's like the first microphone I remember that doing just a regular microphone to give us those emulations. I never used the Slate emulations, but I love the microphone itself because it's so flat. So this may be one of those situations again. But then again, I think UAD might be a little bit better than Slate when it comes to like emulating stuff like that. So theirs might be slightly better. So I'm kind of intrigued. Townsend was phenomenal. Now I'm remembering. I used it over at the now defunct Rat City Studios over at Fort Knox a few years ago. And yes, that sphere was nice. Now I'm remembering. Yeah, so that's what kind of had me geeked about the SC-1. They giving it to us in like a third of the price, because the sphere is like $1,500. This SC-1 is like $500. So a third of the price, 8 of the most popular microphones that the average person is going to probably never get their hands on. We just got 87. So getting those other ones, we've been had 414s, but like an 800, probably never going to have an 800. C12, probably never gonna have that. So it's nice to have something that gives me some of that texture and some of that tone, because we do this, we know it's not gonna be 100% that microphone, but it'll give us some of the texture and the tone from it. So I'll take that, especially for 500 bones. So yeah, this may be a cop. Like I probably need to get this in my hand a little bit, because like I said, I do have that Slate one and it's so flat. So I would probably use that with the plug-in emulations, to be honest. But if you don't have that Slate, yeah, those microphones, man, it's something we weren't thinking about before. Obviously, we didn't have the option, but now getting these microphones that work with the plug-in emulations, man, they're so flat. Like it's something that we should add to our arsenal. Especially like even like not just like people starting out that can't afford those microphones. Even if you can afford those microphones, man, like I had artists that I put $2,000-$3,000 microphones on, and then the little Slate beat it because it was so flat. So this can be like that same thing for somebody if they want to go that route, because UAD bought Bach a few years ago. So the mics they come out with, they bought like a whole company that was raw at making microphones. So their mics may be a little bit better than the other companies going forward, because they're not just a plug-in company making microphones. They actually bought a microphone company to do this stuff with. So that's another thing that got me excited too. I'm like, yeah, I forgot Bach bought them. I forgot they bought Bach. So yeah, so those they got a 47 clone out now and all of that. That's all Bach microphones from a few years ago. So that's dope. But yeah, this SC-1 is definitely gonna be my radar. I don't know if I'm a copy, because like I said, I got the Slate joint, but I'm definitely looking forward to like seeing those plugins, because majority of the Slate stuff, they add too much noise to it. So I stopped using Slate stuff. So I had a few artists that I used like the plugin emulations on. It worked out for the style of music, but if we was doing something that needed pristine vocals without any noise and all that, it would have been hard, because the Slate stuff adds a lot of noise. To like, I guess it's just like their way of modeling like what old school gear sounds, and they do a white noise. I'm guessing, or pink noise. I don't know, but it's noisy. So I never got into using the Slate ones, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna get a UAD ones to try, man, because it's UAD. What can I say? The plug-in, they the best when it comes to that stuff. So we'll see. But yeah, Universal Audio SC-1. It's $500. Should be out in store soon, man. It's a beast. All right, last on my list, controversial on my list, I guess. It's just controversial to me. Wave Space Rider. Why is it controversial to me? Because I'm a hater when these plugins, like they do multiple things come out. Because I'm like, man, I took time to build workflows and presets to do this stuff. Now we got plugins that just do it. So What is Space Rider? Space Rider is just like Bass Rider or like Vocal Rider. It basically helps you with, instead of volume like Bass Rider and Vocal Rider, this one does space. So you can set A to be like, okay, cool, certain settings. Then you set B to be certain settings. And then you set the threshold. So as the signal goes over the threshold, it fades into the other side. I'm like, man, I've been doing that stuff. Like, so basically the way I look at it, and I've explained it to others, is the louder the vocalist gets. So basically the part of the song where everything gets big, you're going to be able to add space to those vocals without having to automate 4 plugins. You're just automating one. And technically you could just ride, any type of threshold. It's 2024, man. You can't just set something threshold and think it's going to work throughout a whole song. So you got to write some automation on that threshold. So since we got to do stuff like that anyway, we got a plugin that we can, okay, this is what I wanted to sound like at its maximum on B. And this is what I wanted to sound like on at least the minimum on A. Then we just ride that threshold fader. We just use automation to do it. I used it the other day. When I first saw the demos, I'm like, man, this is a bull. But then I used it. I'm like, okay, this is going to save me like at least 30 minutes per mix. Easy, probably more than that. So if you think about that, 30 minutes per mix. So when you get into the stages of first when you're recording, then you get into editing, then you get into EQ and compressing and all that. That next stage when you're trying to make things sound good, this is going to save 30, 40 minutes of that process for you. So that's why it's so cold. It's got a chorus, it's got a delay, and it's got a reverb on it. You can feed each into each other, which is dope, which is a cheat code. And I've been doing for a little while, and now they put it in a plug-in so everybody can just do it easy. But it takes a little routing in Pro Tools at least to do it. But now you got the plug-in, you can just do it. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I liken it to when Ableton Drum Bus first came out. I was hating on Drum Bus, man, because I'm like, bro, this is basically, who stole my Ableton template? They just went and found my template. Like this AI, they signing into people's computers, figuring stuff out, because I swear Drum Bus is exactly what I was doing on drums, pre-Drum Bus. All of the things it take to create Drum Bus, I was doing them. The only thing I wasn't doing, but yes, I was using Sasquatch, the Boss Digital, the one that was adding the tone, that the part that adds the tone to your kick. So if you in G, it goes to you put it to the lowest G, and then it gives you like the old trick they used to use back in the 90s with hip hop. So I was doing that with the Sasquatch joint. So that's the only plugin that Ableton didn't have out of that chain. So they added that, gave us Drum Bus, boom. Gave us a compressor, like a bandpass filter, a drive, like a vintage drive type of thing in there, and transient, and then that thing where you can add the low tone for your kick. So I was salty when that came out. So I'm like, but now I use it on every mix, every beat, every time. Like everything I'm doing, I use Drum Bus. So it's like one of those things. That's what this Space Rider probably gonna be for me, man. I hated it when I first saw it, but like I said, I used it. Yeah, man, I could see myself using it, because it's mostly pushing like they want it to be pushed on vocals and stuff. But man, I could see it using it on all type of stuff, like your synth. It could be a synth lead that just play a little part at the beginning of the song, and then the end of the song, that little synth is going crazy. You can put the Space Rider on it. So I can see this being an indispensable tool, man. Bravo again, the Waves. They always create something that we think we don't need and then we can't live without. That's what this plugin seems like to me. It's going to be one of them things in like 6 months to a year. I'm going to have it on an aux inside of like my template set, because I can see myself using it every time, because just the nature of it, being able to write automation for that threshold, that's killer, man. Like even just like certain parts of the song, you just have it going, push it into its maximum, then back it off and just bring it back to the minimum, especially on vocals. So yeah, the Wave Space Rider, man, it's like $50. I subscribe to the Waves thing, so they got me. So it doesn't matter. It's free for me. Like it's an add-on. I wouldn't say it's free. It's an add-on. So if you got the Wave subscription, which I don't see why you don't have it, you should have it. Because you're getting all these plugins for $25 a month. That's obviously if you can afford it, you know what I mean? But if you can't, you gotta do what you gotta do. Grab them free joints. Make it happen, make it work. So yeah, those are my 3 this week, man. The Behringer Spring Reverb hardware joint 636, the Waves Space Rider, and the Universal Audio SC-1 mic modeling. The technology, like I say, those plugins, the demos I heard, chef kiss, man. I gotta see what it sounds like. So yeah, those are my 3. We about to get out of here. Before you do, hit that like, hit that subscribe, man. Let's keep it going, keep it moving. Let's work. Peace.